I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads. And I am going to be doing a little week of reading vlog. That's the plan anyway. Today is Saturday and I have so far finished a book. I finished a book this morning. We got up nice and early because that's who we are apparently. We get up before 7 on a Saturday. We had our online food delivery come nice and early this morning. So we got up nice and early and that meant I had time to finish my book. I was like 100 pages from the end of She Is a Haunting by Tran. And I was only reading this book during daylight hours. So this was definitely a before the day starts book because it was creepy and like in a good way creepy. But I cannot read a creepy book at night time. I will get scared. This book is about Jade, who goes to Vietnam to help her father renovate a home in exchange for him paying for her college tuition. And while she's there, she meets a ghost who gives her some advice. And she makes friends with Florence, who is the niece of somebody who is involved in doing up this home because the plan is to turn it into like a bed and breakfast. And they set out to prove that the home is haunted. And this book was so creepy. It was very tense, very gothic. I love, yet fear, a good haunted house story. And I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the fear factor it had for me of, it wasn't scary necessarily, but it was very tense, very daunting. Like something was coming. And I really enjoyed sort of waiting for almost like a jump scare. I loved the sort of tense relationship that Jade had with her estranged father. And I liked being able to compare that with the relationship that Jade's younger sister, Lily, had with the father. Because due to the age gap and the length of time he'd been away, they both had different reasons for wanting to spend time with him. Jade, she just wanted to be able to pay for college because Jade lived in the US and college in the US is really expensive. And her younger sister Lily just kind of wanted her dad back. And it was so heartbreaking to sort of read this relationship where it just felt like so many people wanted so many things, but none of those things were the same thing. I loved finding out more about the home. It was kind of it had a horrific history, and this book raised a lot of very, very fair points. I had a great time with it. But here's the thing. This is the 59th book that I have read this year. And my goal for this year was 60 books. I am not changing my goal, keeping it at 60. So that means that in this vlog, I'm reaching my goal. I am, however, not reaching my page goal, because for my page goal, I think I would need to read a book that is 1100 pages long, and I don't have any books that are 1100 pages. I have one book that is like 1090, so it would get me so close but not get me there. I am not sure what my 60th book of the year is going to be, but I have a short list and I'm going to show you it. I am partway through The Parisian by Isabella Hamad. This is a bit of a chunkier book and I'm really enjoying this, even though I always say I'm not a historical fiction girly. However, I'm enjoying this, and it's historical fiction about a young man who leaves Palestine in 1914 to go to Paris to stay with a world-renowned doctor and learn to become a doctor. And he falls in love while the world also is in turmoil and all of the things are going on, and there's a lot. So I don't know if I'm going to get through all of this. I'm not super far into it. So this is an option. I also want to read Speak of the Devil by Rose Wilding. This is a thriller where a group of people are in a room and suddenly one of those people has no head. It was one of them, but who? And this is one of my I really want to read this in spring books. So I kind of want to pick this up. It's also got gorgeous sprayed edges. And the last option is The Idiot by Elif Bauman. This is a coming of age story about a woman who goes to Harvard and is sort of learning who she is as an adult. And I love a floppy paperback. I love a coming of age novel. And I'm not sure. I think I'm kind of between these books for my 60th book, but honestly, I'm just going to see which book I finish first. I don't know. It could very well be The Parisian. I might finish this first. I don't know. But it's Saturday and I've got nothing but time today. I have a bag of peppers, tiny little peppers that are about to go off. So I am going to make some fajitas for lunch with some leftover chicken and some very inauthentic feta, because I like feta on my fajitas. So much dust all over my spatula. And not the food. These are my inauthentic tacos in my little toot toot taco bus, because that's the taco holder I have. And I have my new obsession, which is any drink which is rhubarb, and I kind of hate myself for loving rhubarb, but here we are. I'm gonna go and enjoy this. It is Monday after work. Today was my day in the office, which is why this is the look I have. This is the look we're going with. It's not the best, but it's what I have. I did not film yesterday because I was tired and I didn't want to put on makeup. That is the reason. I am now super certain that my 60th book of the year is going to either be Speak of the Devil, that I am almost halfway through, or The Idiot, where I am 250 pages through. It's a 400-page book, so it kind of feels like there's a little bit of a race between me and two books. It's gonna be one of the two, I think. I've not made a super amount of progress in The Parisian. I did not pick it up for more than a chapter or two yesterday. I haven't read it at all today. I'm pretty exhausted. But I'm not just popping on to, well, I'm popping on to give an update. But I want to share two things with you. First of all, my background might look a little different because I'll have to move this a little. La 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 la. I have two new bookshelves. My lovely boyfriend was off work today, so he very kindly built me the two bookshelves that I bought last year. Bought them last year and I'm squint. And they just sat at the front door since December. I hadn't had the energy to put them together, so he was off work today and he did it for me while I was in the office. I did some shopping today, so it's payday, and I bought myself some flowers because I like flowers, and the flowers I had were the ones my stepdad got me, and they lasted for a good 2 weeks, but I needed to get some fresh ones, so I picked up some flowers during my lunch break and I put them in. We didn't have a vase in the office because I don't know why I thought there would be one, so I put it in a giant jug and just sat my flowers on the window ledge, making myself a very lovely desk area. I went book shopping. I know. So as you might know, I'm doing a low spend year this year, which means I'm not buying any books at all, with two exceptions. Exception number one are books that I pre-ordered before I decided I was going to do a low spend year. They are gifts of the past, from me of the past, so I don't count them. And the second exception is for Scottish Book Club books. I was allowing myself to buy up to 6 if we were doing a book club book and I didn't have the book and couldn't get the book at the library. And I feel I kind of maybe tweaked the rules a little for this one because I bought Juno Loves Legs by Carl Geary. And this is not a Scottish book, but it is a book that the Scottish Book Club contingent of group of us are doing a read along of this book. It's quite short, but we're going to be reading this together in April. Nope, we're going to be reading this together in May, and I wanted to join in because I miss having our little chats, and I felt that this totally worked with my exceptions. And I didn't pay for it. I did not steal this book. Just saying that right straight out. I didn't steal it. I had Waterston's points, so I used my points. So I did buy a book, but it was an exception, and I used a reward point, so I think that it's not the worst. I am going to go and have dinner and probably have a really early night because I'm so tired from all the peopling today. It was very busy. And hopefully tomorrow, I don't know, maybe I'll finish the book. Maybe not, but I might. I'll find out. And then you'll find out. I'll be back. I have an update. Okay, 2 updates. Update 1, I have done nothing with my new bookshelves. I'm gonna wait until the weekend to tackle those because I don't know. I feel I need to reorganize my books. I mean, I have to. That's how I move books. But I don't know how I want to order them. I currently have Scottish books, Agatha Christie, and then everything else. And I kind of want to maybe put my series in somewhere. I don't know. This is an issue for me of the future, not me of right now. Me of right now has just finished a book and is ready to talk about it. So I have finished my 60th book of 2024, which is my book that makes me or helps me to reach my reading goal for the year. I'm very excited about this. And my 60th book, the book that takes me to my goal, was The Idiot by Elif Batuman. And upon editing the first part of this video, I think I called her Elif Bauman, which is incorrect. It is Batuman. And I loved this book. Like, it wasn't 5-star love, it was 4-star love, because 5-star you have to feel in your soul. This was such a like, it wasn't a strange book, but I feel like the best way to describe this book was that it was vibes over plot. There was plot. The plot was that we had a main character who had gone to Harvard, and she really struggled with communication in spite of her studying all of the linguistic modules that seemed to be available to her. And it was just basically her first year of university where she kind of realizes that perhaps she doesn't really know a great deal. There's also a bit of a, oh, do I want to call it a romance? An interesting relationship that she has with a man, a slightly older man from her Russian language class. We also follow her friendships with the people that she meets, and she's a bit of a strange duck, but there's something so endearing about an awkward main character who's pretty, you know, unapologetic about their awkwardness. And this book was so just bizarre in that I felt like I never really knew where the plot was going to take me, but I really loved the atmosphere of it. I think that this is a book that this would have been like a 5-star read for me, perhaps between the ages of maybe 16 and 20. I think this would have been a perfect book for me to read back then. This book did not exist back then, but I think that that is the age where this would have just become like a comfort read, in the way that I perhaps controversially view The Bell Jar as a comfort read. It's a book that you read at the right time in your life, and it gives you something that helps you at the time when you don't even realize that you need it. And that's what I think this book could have been. But you know, old lady me had a great time with it too. And apparently there is a second book in this series, which it didn't end on like a cliffhanger or anything. So I wonder if it's maybe just following the main character through later periods in her life, which I'm intrigued by. So I have placed a request at my library to get that, because they have a copy. And I just really enjoyed the author's writing and just their brain. I really enjoyed the story, but it reminded me a little bit of Mona Awad's writing, not in theme or anything, just in the sort of way that there is a plot, of course, but it's more about the atmosphere and the feelings that the book encourages. That's what I felt about this anyway, but I'm delighted that it was my 60th book of the year, and I'm so happy that I didn't, you know, reach my goal on a book that wasn't a worthy 60th book. This was, and I'm so happy I read it. I have got about 100 pages or so left of my other book, and I'm not loving it, which is why I'm kind of glad that The Idiot ended up being my 60th book, but I am going to complete it. So I will come back. When I come back next, I will have finished or DNF'd Speak of the Devil. Who knows which one? Oh, Mary, you came and you are a little man. I have now finished book 61. It doesn't really work with 61. I've also transitioned into the springtime jumper that I meant to whip out a month ago, 2 months ago, and didn't. But you know, it's never too late. I finished Speak of the Devil. I'm giving it a reluctant 2 stars. I didn't love it. I didn't like it, but I liked it enough to keep reading it. I didn't care really. Well, no, I did. I thought I didn't care who did it, but then I put the book down and thought, I want to know. I want to know who did it. There were 7 women. Each of them had a motive, a pretty big motive, and it could have been any of them. And I found myself realizing that I really wanted to know who did it. And there were no spoilers on Goodreads, so I couldn't find out and move on with my life. So I had to finish it, because I wanted to know who it was that did it. And when I got the reveal, I sort of felt disappointed, because it was, I wanted there to be a twist. And there kind of was, but it didn't feel like enough of a twist. It was just a twist rather than a ooh kind of twist. So it was okay. I found it a bit disappointing, and I'm glad this wasn't my 60th book, but there was something about it that meant that I didn't want to put it down, because I wanted to know who did it. There were a lot of characters and a lot of points of view, and I felt like it wasn't a long enough book to really let you get to know seven characters. I mean, we didn't really get to know too much about the victim, other than he was awful, and he was not a good guy, and he had gotten away with awful things for his entire life. But I felt like, I don't know, it was almost as if I wanted him to not be known as being this awful person straight away. I would have loved to have sort of gotten to be a bit charmed by him, and then have these reveals that would kind of mirror the victims. This one didn't do it for me, but I'm glad I found out who done it. And if anybody finds themselves on Goodreads in a similar position to myself, there is now a review that includes the spoiler that made me keep reading the book. So that's my gift to the world. it is hidden with the spoiler button. But I have finished 2 books in this vlog. I've made a bit of progress in the Parisian, but my mind just really wasn't in the mood for historical fiction this week, but I'm hopeful that I will get it finished in May because I'm really having a good time with it. Please let me know what you have been reading lately, and thank you so much for watching.